August 7, 1942, at 2:14 in the morning, in the pitch-black silence before sunrise, the first group of United States Marines started walking through the water to get to shore on a beach that would be remembered forever. Beach Red on Guadalcanal in the Solomon Islands. They carried the regular weapons of that time: M1 Garand rifles, Browning automatic rifles, Thompson machine guns. But mixed in with those weapons was something weird, something that would totally surprise the Japanese. Hidden in the hands of certain Marines was the Winchester Model 12 shotgun, a pump-action gun that was first made for hunting, but now turned into one of the most deadly weapons for up-close fighting ever used in modern war. The Japanese defenders on Guadalcanal had gotten ready for rifle fighting from far away. They practiced constantly for bayonet charges and sword fighting up close, believing their fighting spirit would beat American troops in hand-to-hand combat. What they hadn't gotten ready for was how brutal American shotguns really were. Weapons that could fire as fast as a guy could pump the handle. The simple design of the Model 12, combined with its deadly spread of buckshot, would mess up Japanese war tactics in the jungles, caves, and night fighting of the Pacific War. The numbers alone told the whole story. Each shell had 9.33 caliber pellets of double buckshot. A Marine firing 6 rounds in 3 seconds with the Model 12 could send out 54 bullets, filling up an area with deadly firepower faster than any Japanese soldier could ever hope to do with a bolt-action Arisaka rifle. For the 2,200 Japanese defenders on Guadalcanal, this was a weapon they never expected to face. One so deadly that Germany had actually tried to get it banned during World War I. The Germans had filed an official complaint in 1918, saying that American shotguns broke the Hague Convention because they caused unnecessary pain. Their complaint even threatened that any captured U.S. soldier carrying a shotgun could be killed on the spot. The United States said no way to the complaint, warning that if a single American was killed for carrying a shotgun, they'd get revenge. No Americans were ever killed, and the shotgun stayed in use. By the time World War II started, the Winchester Model 12 Trench Gun had been improved for military use. It had a shorter 20-inch barrel, a heat shield, a bayonet attachment, and most importantly, it kept the ability to slam fire. That meant a Marine could hold down the trigger and just pump the handle as fast as his arms could move, firing shell after shell in an almost non-stop roar of destruction. For the Japanese, who relied on night fighting and close-up bayonet charges, this was a nightmare weapon. Japanese military books had said that Americans were weak in close combat and needed long-range firepower. Their plan called for sneaking around at night, surprise attacks, and the belief that spiritual strength would win against Western forces. Early wins in China, Singapore, and the Philippines seemed to prove this belief was right. But when they met American Marines carrying shotguns on Guadalcanal, those ideas fell apart. The real test came just 2 weeks after the landing. During the Battle of the Tanaru River on August 21, 1942, Colonel Kiyonao Ichiki led almost 1,000 Japanese soldiers in a night attack across a sandbar, planning to smash through the Marine defense line. It was exactly the kind of close combat the Japanese fighting style celebrated. But waiting for them were Marines armed with machine guns, artillery, and in the shadows, shotgun-carrying riflemen. As the Japanese rushed forward, they were hit with a storm of fire. Marines fired Garands and BARs into the crowds. But in the deadly close-up fighting along the riverbank, the Winchester Model 12 really showed what it could do. At distances of 20 yards or less, a single shotgun blast tore through multiple attackers at once. Slam-firing Marines turned their weapons into rapid-fire cannons. When morning came, the sandbar was covered with bodies. Of the 916 Japanese who started the charge, almost 800 were dead. The power of the shotgun wasn't just in its killing ability, but also in how it scared people. In the darkness of the jungle, the sound of a pump-action cycling, the sharp metallic cha-chunk, sent chills down Japanese infiltrators' spines. Marines used the weapon in ways that rifles just couldn't match. On night patrols, the shotgun became the weapon of the point man, giving immediate devastating firepower at the first sign of an ambush. In defensive areas, Marines loaded their shotguns and waited in the darkness. When Japanese infiltrators crawled quietly toward the lines with bayonets and grenades, one blast of buckshot ended the attack right away. As the war went on into 1943 and 1944, the shotgun proved itself over and over. In the jungles of New Georgia, Marines gave their point men the Winchester Model 12 specifically to fight back against ambushes. A single blast could break up a Japanese patrol before it had a chance to attack. At night, shotgun-armed Marines were placed in overlapping fields of fire, turning sneaking attempts into suicide missions. The weapon also became a tool for jungle lane shooting. Marines would fire down trails or into plants where Japanese soldiers might be hiding, the spread of buckshot tearing through leaves and hitting hidden targets. But maybe the most terrifying use of the Model 12 came in cave and bunker fighting. Starting at Tarawa in November 1943 and reaching its most brutal point at Iwo Jima and Okinawa, the Japanese turned entire islands into fortresses of rock, coral, and concrete. Marines had to crawl into caves, crawl up ridges, and fight enemies hiding in dark rooms. Here, the shotgun was unbeatable. Marines developed the technique of firing into cave openings, letting the buckshot bounce off walls, creating a deadly storm inside tight spaces. Survivors described the noise as horrifying. Bouncing pellets whined and screamed in every direction, making it seem like death came from all around, even when it didn't kill right away. The mental terror often forced Japanese soldiers to leave their positions. On Saipan in July 1944, during the biggest Japanese banzai charge of the war, thousands of Japanese soldiers threw themselves at American lines. While machine guns and artillery caused most of the deaths, the chaos of close-up fighting saw shotgun-armed Marines holding the line in desperate moments. Their ability to send out clouds of lead into charging soldiers made the difference in areas where the enemy briefly broke through. On Iwo Jima, the shotgun became part of blowtorch and corkscrew tactics. Flamethrowers provided fire and smoke. Explosive charges sealed tunnels, and shotguns delivered the killing blow inside fortifications. Marines even developed skip shooting, deliberately bouncing buckshot off tunnel walls to hit enemies hiding around corners. Despite how well it worked, the Model 12 was never given out to everyone. Only about 61,000 were made during the war, a tiny number compared to millions of rifles. They were given to units most likely to need them: Marines and rifle companies, Army assault teams, Navy landing parties, even Air Force guards defending airfields. Ammunition, however, was everywhere. Millions of shells were made, including standard buckshot, solid slugs for longer range, and smaller shot for clearing plants. For the Marines who carried them, the Model 12 was their favorite weapon. Some liked rifles better, but many swore by the shotgun's ability to dominate close combat. Veterans remembered the confidence it gave them at night, knowing that if the Japanese came close, they had the ultimate weapon waiting. The Japanese, for their part, never found a real answer. They tried crude body armor made from wood or bamboo, but it was heavy, clunky, and mostly useless. Their only real defense was to try to avoid getting close enough, but their entire fighting style relied on close attacks. The story of the Model 12 is not just about weapons. It shows the American way of fighting war: practical, flexible, and willing to use any tool that worked. Where other armies stuck to tradition, the Marines embraced new ideas. They didn't wait for orders from the top. They tried things in the field, learned what worked, and shared it with others. Techniques like skip shooting, mixed ammunition loads, and shotgun assault teams weren't invented in labs. They were created in the jungles and caves of the Pacific by Marines trying to stay alive. By the end of the war, the shotgun had earned a scary reputation. It was never the main weapon of the war, but in the specific brutal environments of the Pacific, it was irreplaceable. In night fighting, jungle patrols, bunker attacks, and desperate last stands, the Winchester Model 12 gave Marines and soldiers a weapon that destroyed Japanese fighting assumptions. Even after the war, its legacy lived on. The Model 12 served in Korea, where once again it proved itself in night fighting. In Vietnam, shotguns were given to point men patrolling thick jungles and for tunnel fighting, echoing the cave-clearing days of World War II. Its influence carried forward into modern military shotguns. and its philosophy, overwhelming close-range firepower, can still be seen in weapons like the A-10 Warthog and the AC-130 gunship. For the Japanese soldiers who faced it, the Model 12 was more than just a weapon. It was a terrifying contradiction of everything they had believed. They expected Western soldiers to fail in close combat. Instead, they found themselves torn apart by blasts of buckshot in the dark jungle or inside caves. The shotgun, simple yet devastating, proved that American forces could adapt faster, think of new ideas smarter, and fight with overwhelming firepower at every distance. From Guadalcanal to Okinawa, the